Go to American jails today. The majority of the inmates are black people. In a country where the blacks are a minority, but in prison they're the majority. Why? Are black people generally bad people? Is there something that can be done about that?
It's more than a human rights issue, it's a racism.
Yes, they're racist.
What's up, family? This is your man, not your boy. Go Black to Africa. Whoa, this conversation, I want to share this video with you. China and also a president of the Socialist Party in Zambia. They talk about some interesting things about America's democracy and the black African American status when it comes to human rights and how we are treated. Watch this entire video and I'll be back.
Thank you for speaking with us, Doctor. Let's start with democracy, or your understanding of democracy. Is it the end or is it the means to something concrete?
It can never be an end. It's a means to something much more important to a human being. It's much more a means to the happiness of a human being, to the welfare of a human being, to all those things that constitute a dignified life of a human being. Access to food, access to housing, access to clean water, access to health services, access to education, national sovereignty in the country which that individual lives, national honor, all those things constitute democracy.
If you look at for example, the coverage of China in the Western press or in remarks by Western officials, in particular US officials, they often refer to China as the biggest, or top challenge or biggest threat to the US existence. How do you understand that kind of allegation or criticism?
You can understand why they are worried about a country like China, because China is working in the opposite direction to them. China is working to free other people and free itself from being plundered, from being humiliated. This is the country that the USA is a country that has thrived, survived, prospered from slave trade, cross-Atlantic slave trade. They enslaved the Africans for centuries. They plundered the resources of Latin America, the resources of Africa, the resources of Asia. They plundered even the resources of Europe. This is the country, if plunder today, exploitation of other people is removed, the USA will not be the powerful country that it is today. If there's equality in the dealings with each other, the USA ceases because it doesn't know how to deal with other people on an equal basis, with other nations on an equal basis. It gets lost. It's worried today with the multipolar world that is emerging because its hegemonic interests are being threatened. It's not China per se, it's the interests of the Americans that are being threatened with a world that is more equal, that is more fair, that is more just. They can't survive in that world because their methods of existence are based on plundering other nations, on humiliating other nations, on exploiting other nations.
Well, a related question I would cite is the Chinese efforts to broker basically a peace deal for Saudi Arabia and Iran to resume their diplomatic ties. And then you see the Chinese efforts to create some conditions for peace or for ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine in this Ukraine crisis. But then if you look at the reaction or response from the US side, they try to dismiss the Chinese efforts or belittle the Chinese efforts as something else. Why is that kind of response? The Chinese efforts basically have been welcomed by the rest of the world. People see that as very positive, more peace, more stability in the Middle East, more reconciliation. What's wrong with that?
A world that is peaceful is not suitable for the United States because it prospers from conflict. It sets one humble nation against the other. It does not help to remove conflicts. It always creates conflicts. When you look at the conflicts that have existed in the world since 1776, when the USA was formed, the USA usually has a hand in it. When it doesn't have a hand in it, it doesn't work to resolve those conflicts. It works to perpetuate those conflicts because it thrives from conflict. It benefits from conflicts.
Famous example is the military-industrial complex in the US. They certainly welcome conflicts and wars so they can, sell weapons, ammunitions, and make a profit out of that.
Yes, and they are also linked to the media. They are linked to the politics. They are the sponsors of the politicians. So they have to find conflict.
Every year, the U.S. publish, human rights record on every country but itself. What do you make of that? Some people accuse the U.S. of using the so-called human rights to interfere in the internal affairs of other countries, in particular the countries they are not happy with or they see as rivals. What do you make of that?
The pious arm of human rights that the USA waves all the time is hypocritical. This is the country that has invaded other countries, killing so many people, including children. This is the country that has appropriated the resources of other countries, leaving those countries helpless. Look at Iraq today.
20th anniversary of...
20th anniversary. What is happening to the Iraqi oil money? When Iraq sells oil, all the money goes to the USA. Iraq today is a colony of the USA. This is the country that occupies other countries' territories. Look at what they did to Saddam Hussein. Look what they did to Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. Look at what they do to other people's leaders. Look even at the attitude, the arrogance towards other people. They never respect the leaders of other countries. How many coups d'etats have they carried out? How many assassinations of leaders of other countries have they carried out? How many citizens of other countries have they killed? How many citizens of other countries have they arrested and detained and released without charges?
In addition to the lack of respect for sovereignty or abuse of human rights, what about the record of the human rights record inside the USA?
Look at the treatment of black people.
George Floyd?
Yes. And when did black people start voting in America? The USA became independent in 1776. When did black people who were taken there against their will, when were they given the right to vote? It's not very long ago. Can you claim equal rights for black people in America? Go to American jails today. The majority of the inmates are black people. In a country where the blacks are a minority, but in prison they're the majority. Why? Are black people generally bad people? Is there something that can be done about that? When a black person votes in America, who is he voting for? When a black person is eating in America, who is he eating for? In whose mouth does he put food? He's not putting food in Biden's mouth. But when it comes to vote, he's voting for Biden. So the vote matters because it's going to Biden. The food doesn't matter because it's going into that poor black person's mouth.
It's more than a human rights issue, it's a racism.
Yes, they're racist. Part of the hatred for China is racism. They cannot accept that a country that is non-white can surpass them economically and in so many areas of human achievements, of human endeavor. They can't accept that. They don't hide their intentions. That's a goodness with them. They say it very clearly. It's either you are with us or not with us. What does it mean to be with them? To be with them means to do their will, to live according to their will, to their dictates. When they say jump, you jump, then you're with them. If you don't, you are not with them. These summits are there to divide the world. You cannot build a future world that is peaceful, that is fair, that is just, that is humane, without respect for others. And here we are talking about maximum respect for others.
Equality and respect.
Yes. We are diverse. It's not by accident that we have so many languages, we have so many cultures, we have so many traditions on this planet. Even in songs, we sing so many different songs. Even in dances, we have so many different dances. Are they in conflict with each other? If you dance different from the way I dance, is there a conflict? If you sing a different song from the one I sing,
just natural.
Is it different? Doesn't that add to the beauty? They say in the Garden of Eden, there were so many different plants, so many different flowers, but they existed in harmony with each other. They added to the beauty of the Garden of Eden. If in nature's creation, things were ordered that way, who are we not to accept that diversity?
Harmony in diversity.
Yes.
What do you think? Let me say in short that I think we all should do ourselves a favor in looking at how the outside world look at America. I've had an opportunity to talk to people outside of America, and the reputation is not all that great depending on countries. The video in its entirety is down in the description. I think every person should listen to their ideal of why is America's democracy being spread across the globe? Why is others being, labeled as dictators, anarchists, and all these other things that these countries are saying they're tired of America labeling them this. This is a new movement internationally with these countries that are pushing America off to the side. This will be a huge change in the future for how America will begin to run its business throughout the world. This is your man, not your boy, bringing you another gold nugget that you can either pick up or you can just kick it aside.
Think about it, 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 think about it.